In 1995, I was given my first real part in a movie. The movie was called Destiny Turns on the Radio, and it starred Dylan McDermott and Nancy Travis. As you might surmise, Jim Belushi was in it as well. Now, I not only had zero scenes with Jim Belushi, but I was never scheduled to even shoot within the same couple of days as him, so the fact that I saw him at all was a bit of a lark. And I should preface this story by describing my very first time on set. On any set, really. I had driven out to the set. It was out in the middle of the desert somewhere, during the beginning of the shoot to meet with the wardrobe department. I entered the trailer to find one woman softly crying as if it was the end of a bigger, deeper, sobbing session, and another woman alternately consoling her and cursing some unknown him who wasn't there. It was awkward, and I kept my distance, but made my presence known. I'd never met these ladies before, let alone ever gone to wardrobe. They gathered themselves and were very sweet and apologetic, and I said something to the effect of no worries, and then asked what was wrong. In brief, and I'm paraphrasing from a meeting from 13 years ago, Jim Belushi had come to set, hated the outfits that had been designed for his character. They were supposed to be cheesy and lounge lizardish, as he was the underhanded small-time manager of a floundering small-time casino. And he took it out on the wardrobe women, berating them and demanding that they, against what had been written in the script, get him designer suits, Prada, Armani, shit like that. In other words, the opposite of what the character would wear. Now, I wasn't there for any of this, only the aftermath, and it was told to me by two women who were clearly still emotional about it. I couldn't be sure it all happened the way they described, but after meeting Jim Belushi, I had absolutely no problem believing it. Okay, moving on. It is now the last week of shooting, and we are in Las Vegas at the Stardust Casino shooting interiors. As it happened, there was a schedule change, and the scene I was shooting that night took place in the same location, the floor of the casino, as Jim's last scene of the whole film. As is much the case for every movie, I was called in much earlier than needed. I had already gone through the works, hair and makeup, and was in a costume, which was a suit, and just waiting around with nothing to do but pick at craft services. I decided in the downtime to play some blackjack while I was waiting for my scene to be up. I sat at a blackjack table across from where we were shooting, but at a perfect vantage point to be able to see what was going on and when they would be finished and I'd be needed. Keep in mind that I'd barely been on TV before, so no one, certainly not this group of middle-aged and seniors from Oklahoma or wherever they were from, would ever recognize me, let alone assume I had some affiliation with the movie. I sat there playing silently, immensely enjoying everyone's speculations as to what the movie was about. The most ridiculous ideas based solely on watching from afar, where you couldn't hear anything, some people walking, then standing still for a moment talking, and then walking away. I think it's about a guy who works at a casino. Jim Belushi's the star of it. Not quite. Anyway, after about 10 minutes of this, the dealer, a woman in her early 30s or so, says to the table, "Oh, I'm going to try and get an autograph from him," meaning Jim Belushi. "I have an 8-year-old son who's very sick, and he's a huge Jim Belushi fan." Now, this is the one part you might have some legitimacy issues with. What 8-year-old is a huge Jim Belushi fan, you might say, but I swear to you that is what she said. It was at this point that I spoke up and told her that I was working on the movie and that I would get her the autograph. She told me her son's name was Michael and how grateful she was. No problem. I cashed in, walked over, and stood to the side waiting for them to wrap the scene. After about 10 minutes or so, "Cut, and that is a picture wrap for Jim Belushi." The crew dutifully clapped, as is the custom. I waited for this to die down, and as he started to walk away, I approached him. Once again, keep in mind, we've never met. "Excuse me, Mr. Belushi?" "Yeah." Do you see that woman over there?" I pointed across to the blackjack table. "Well, she's got an 8-year-old son who's sick, and he's a huge fan of yours, and she was—" Jim cut me off curtly, saying, "Jesus, I thought you were going to get me a blowjob." The next 3 seconds are difficult to describe. I got very angry, but tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but no, there's no way he misunderstood me or I him. I could feel the blood in my face and my heart racing a bit. I took a big breath, and then with a measured tone and over-enunciation repeated myself, "No, she has a sick son who—" Jim cut me off again, this time angrier and even more dismissively with, "Jesus Christ, you're worse than my second wife," and walked away. I stood there, a little shocked, but that's perhaps not the best word to describe what I was feeling. Anger, incredulity, Disgust? Those are better words. And I knew that I was going to have to go back over to the mom and tell her that I couldn't get the autograph. And the mom was way more gracious than she should have been. So, there it is. A real, true-life tale of Hollywood assholeness. I still get riled up when I tell the story. I shake my head anew in disbelief at how vile he acted. I didn't see him again until the 2005 Emmys when he came out to present an award. I shouted the Belushi as loud as I could twice, hoping it would get picked up on air. It did not, but my friends nearby had a gentle yet cautious laugh.